Hi everyone, it's Evangeline right here at etrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at how the RockyMounts AfterParty swing out bike rack fits on the 2021 Dodge Durango. So the AfterParty is going to be a dual wheel mount rack with a high weight capacity for heavy electric bikes. It's pretty much the same as the RockyMounts Guide Rail, but it has an extra feature, which is that this can swing out towards the passenger side. Now, some things on the Durango, especially with this hitch receiver, is that this is going to have a lot of height compared to other bike racks. So if you do have a 60-pound bike, that's something you have to consider, is that you have to lift that up and onto this rack. But if you're someone that's concerned about ground clearance, maybe you're going off-roading and you want to make sure you're not bottoming out, then that extra ground clearance might be good for you. So the very first thing we'll talk about is why swing out. So, like, what is the purpose behind that? And that's if you want to get access into your hatch. If you want quick and easy hatch access, what you can do is you can just pull the lever and tilt this rack down. It has a really deep tilt. You're able to fully open up that door, no problem. But if you wanted to set up your campsite out here, then you can go and take the extra effort to start swinging this system out. So it's holding it in place, or one of the things is going to be this bolt. So it has a pretty long thread, and you're going to turn this until it completely is loose. And then you're going to lift this. Still have a couple threads there. But once that lever is lifted and that bolt is completely loose, you can then swing this out. So you have the option of either a 90-degree or even a full 180. I like to do a little blend of it where we go 90 degrees and then we extend it out. That way we can clear the side of our vehicle. But doing this allows us to fully open up our hatch, set up our campsite, hang out over here. If we wanted to tailgate or just chit-chat, change our shoes, we can do all that without having to take the bikes off. This makes for an awesome either overlanding or just a normal ride in the park, hanging out behind your car experience. Now, to bring it back in, you do have some different levers here. There's this lever in the middle and this lever towards the rack. So we're going to do both of them, allowing them both to pivot until both of them engage again. 1 and 2. You can hear them click, but you can also see that if they're dropped. And then the final step is to tighten down that knob. So yes, it does take a little bit more time compared to just tilting your rack away, but compared to some other swing out bike racks, it's nice that you do have both of those options. Now let's talk about what types of bikes this can carry. It has that 60-pound weight capacity. It has a really good long wheelbase capacity of up to 55 inches for those larger mountain bike frames, and it's a dual wheel mount rack, meaning there's zero frame contact. It's holding onto the bike by the front as well as the rear wheels. Now, when you want to take your bike off, you have 2 touch points. There are these knobs right over there. You're going to pull them. If you do find that they're a little stuck, you do push on them first, and then you pull them. I'll show you on this side. It's going to be a push, and then it's a pull to get most of that tension out. And then you're able to push those masts far out. Now, some people like to put this all the way down to the ground just to give them better access for bringing your bike off. Since that is a bit of height, that's something you might be interested in too. Now I'm just going to put this away so we can focus in on the bike rack. Another thing we need to talk about is tire size. And if you notice those trays, the trays are awesome because then you can just roll your bikes back and forth to get clearance between each other. But you also have to consider that if you have a thin road bike tire or a wider mountain bike tire, it's fine as long as they don't go past 3 inches in width. Any wider than that, and that's going into the fat bike territory, which will require a different type of bike rack. These fold in to be more compact and neat. And speaking of compact and neat, let's talk about how much space this will take up behind your car. So we're gonna go from our bumper to the end of the rack, which sits about here. And that's gonna be 31.5 inches. This is gonna add to the back of your vehicle. So in the grand scheme of things, your vehicle is a bit larger, and if you have a small garage, you will really need to know how big your bike rack is. But a more important measurement, in my opinion, is gonna be ground clearance. How high are you lifting your bikes up to get onto this rack? Well, this is staggered, so you first have this farther out tray at 31.5 inches off the ground, and then this one's gonna be 29, well, I'd like to say yes, 29 inches off the ground. That's how high you're lifting your bikes up and onto the rack. So if you're maxing out that 60 pounds, again, something to remember. This does become more compact and neat too. So we're gonna pull that lever, we're gonna push the rack up, and then it secures in the portable position. So to compare to when it was folded down, remember when we measured from the bumper? This time we'll go to the end of the rack here. That's gonna be 14 inches. Big difference compared to the driving position. You'll have it in this position when you're just planning on driving around town, not going for a bike ride just yet, but you also don't want to take the bike rack off because it is kind of heavy. Now, if you do have it behind your car like this, if you wanted to open up your hatch, you are gonna have to pull that lever and drop this down, which is very simple to do. Plus, you're only carrying the weight of the trays, so not that much weight you're gonna have to deal with. Another thing is it secures into your hitch receiver, 2-inch hitch by the way, and it has a lock on that, so that's gonna be good. That lock is gonna be key to the lock on the end of your rack. You can use the cable chain or the lock chain included with your rack, or use your own cable lock, and those will all just secure to the rack. With all that being said, if you're looking for a swing around or swing out bike rack, this is going to be a very versatile one for you, except it does sit pretty high up. So some alternatives for you is that the Kuat bike racks do have the hitch extender that allows you to pivot them out. It's called the Kuat Pivot. Those can be used in addition to your own bike racks. You just have to be mindful that that will decrease your tongue weight capacity. So if you have extra heavy bikes, you are going to have to do the math if you want to go that route. Versus this with the AfterParty, you don't have to do that extra math. It is incorporated into the rack. You know you can carry those heavy bikes, and you know that it can carry them safely and securely. So hopefully this video helped show that and helped you find the right fit for you. This was a look at the RockyMounts AfterParty Swing Out 2-Bike Platform Rack, and you saw it on the 2021 Dodge Durango.
Here we are on our test course. As we hit the alternating bumps, you can see what it would be like to hit a pothole on the road. Our solid speed bumps simulate pulling in and out of a driveway or hitting a speed bump in a parking lot. We use the slalom portion of our course to simulate the side-to-side movement, such as turning corners or evasive maneuvers.